Styx is going to Madison Square Garden to play. A huge number of fans are singing along with Dennis DeYoung's high voice on Come Sail Away. There are bright lights, a lot of energy, and it looks like the band is having a great time. It was cold stares, a silent war, and lost trust behind the scenes. Even though DeYoung was the band's lead singer, he was slowly becoming left out. He has been quiet for decades, but now Dennis DeYoung is not going to keep quiet. Not only does what he say about Styx shock fans, it also changes everything they thought they knew about the band. Styx began as an idea on the streets of Chicago. The bass was built by DeYoung, his brother-in-law John Kirilowski, and the Panazzo brothers. After that came Tommy Shaw. The thing that would set off both success and conflict. DeYoung was intense, focused, and had a clear goal. He played more than just the piano. He planned the band's sound. He liked things that were striking, had big ideas, and were perfect. But this drive to be creative quickly turned into a problem. Thomas Shaw and James DeYoung did not want to go to Broadway. They wanted loud music and the energy of classic rock. The practices turned into battlegrounds. It turned into fights over decisions. The piece on stage hid the war going on behind it. In 1983, Styx was on the verge of change and destruction. Dennis DeYoung did more than just write music on Kilroy Was Here. He was writing a rock opera, which is a theatrical protest against control and following the rules. Heavy on synths, emotional, and philosophical. It was everything that DeYoung had hoped for. For Tommy Shaw and James DeYoung, though, it was like a bad dream they couldn't wake up from. DeYoung put everything he had into Kilroy. He wrote scripts for dystopian characters, put together complicated stage shows, and expected friends who didn't want to be actors to act like they were in them. Thomas Shaw in particular felt suffocated, not only artistically but also financially. The rock and roll leader of the group used to be him, but now he was dressed up, reading lines from scripts and acting out DeYoung's future dreams in bright lights. Backstage, the stress was through the roof. Shaw allegedly shut down and got moody, and he stopped recognizing the band he used to love. He fell into deep sadness. Young got more and more angry at DeYoung for wanting to be in charge all the time. It was supposed to be practice, but it turned into practice fights. It felt like a war during every sound check and every show. Fans were confused, and critics were split down the middle. On stage, they played as a unit, but off stage, they traveled in silence, staying in different hotels and taking different vehicles, and barely making eye contact. The bond that used to hold them together had been broken down by ego, fear, and anger. I also said that life isn't always easy. It's a part of growing up that your dreams need to change from time to time. When a dream doesn't work out for you, you have to let it go. Then something went wrong during the tour. The arguments got nasty. Physical fights were almost inevitable. Shaw finally gave up because he was mentally and creatively drained. He quit the band as well as the record. It was quick and rough when they broke up. Kilroy Was Here was meant to take Styx art to a new level. It broke them in half instead. The record that stood for DeYoung's artistic goals turned out to be a sign of the band's breakup. The thing that used to make Styx bold and one-of-a-kind, DeYoung's bigger-than-life vision, now made him a target. And when things went wrong, Dennis DeYoung was by himself. He wasn't a hero or a leader, but as a man who was blamed for ruining what he helped build. By the end of the 1990s, fans were making a lot of noise. People were dying to see the original group play again, especially Dennis DeYoung, and rumors of a Styx reunion were going around. He had been the band's heart and soul and its original leader, after all. DeYoung, who was sick but now feels better and is ready to go back, really thought it was time to rebuild the family. He hoped what would happen next would make him lose all faith in the people he used to call friends. Tommy Shaw and James DeYoung decided behind closed doors to keep Styx going without the original voice. They didn't pick up the phone or offer to help. Besides that, they hired a new lead singer who could copy Dennis's voice and stage movements, and sing all of his songs by heart. It wasn't about new ideas. It had to do with change. It was cold, planned, and businesslike. It was sharp and hit DeYoung hard. Fans were shocked. There's treason in the headlines. It was no longer okay to have the man who gave Styx its name, best hits, and sound. If the band started traveling under the name Styx and played DeYoung written hits like Babe, The Best of Times, and Come Sail Away, they were completely betraying him. They didn't even mention his name once. And DeYoung? At home, by himself, still recovering from his illness, he watched it all happen. Some might say he was still stupidly hoping that they would call and do the right thing. Rather, he was seen as a liability and a nuisance. A name they didn't need again. He tried to connect and understand, but there was no room for peace and no desire to find a solution. What began as differences in style in the 1980s had turned into an emotional fight. There were soon legal battles, says Mintz, over the use of the name, ownership of the song, and the right to perform. Each complaint and letter from a lawyer made things even more angry. The interviews got nasty. The press used words like ego, control freak, and crazy to describe the person. The loss could not be fixed. So, as the band moved forward with a new look and era, Dennis DeYoung was pushed to the background, not by choice but by necessity. His memory, which used to be loud and bright, was being changed right now, but not with truth, but with silence. For DeYoung, the deception was more than just work-related. It was very, very personal, and it would stay with him for decades. People kept going to shows with Styx's name on them, but Dennis DeYoung was fighting a silent war with his body and his old partners. In the late 1990s, he got a strange illness that put an end to his life in a scary way. He became very sensitive to light and couldn't play, record, or even leave his house without getting sick and lost. A lot of months went by in total darkness. Shades drawn, lights turned off, and music turned off. That's when it took place. When he was at his weakest and most open to attack, the rest of Styx made a choice that broke him. They went on without him. He wasn't just left behind. He was changed. Even though he was physically and mentally broken, the machine kept running. His voice, face, and personality were pushed to the side and forgotten, and the pain that came from that was much worse than any illness. The music business, which is always moving forward, didn't wait for him. The agents stopped calling. His promoters ignored him. Venues pulled out of plans for solo shows. People no longer wanted to use his name on marquee because they thought it was too risky and hard to spell. It was his own story that turned him from a big star to a ghost. The deception wasn't just at work. It was very close to home. People who used to be like brothers treated him like he didn't matter. As the Styx brand continued to do well without him, he had to stand by and do nothing. His work was carried on without any thanks or recognition. It started to rain. His marriage suffered because he was stressed, confused, and emotionally broken. It was said that some days he wouldn't get out of bed. He used to find comfort in music, but now it made him sad. For me, playing the piano was like putting old wounds back on. This is not how Dennis DeYoung breaks down, though. He began to fight back over time, but not with cases or anger. Instead, he used art. He started writing again, but at first it was very slow. He tried different kinds of theater, wrote new songs, and made up stories that showed how heartbroken he was. From pain came new ideas. From treachery came strength. The scars were still there. When he spoke in public years later, his words still had a heavy weight to them, like he felt like he was being erased from something he built himself. Even though his sickness got better, the memory of being thrown away when he was most human and broken never really went away. When Styx were used to push Dennis DeYoung away, his fire didn't go out. It just redirected. But the same focus that made him so smart on stage hurt him when they were not around. Once Styx was no longer his battleground, he took his fights to boardrooms, production meetings, and even his own home. Record company officials tried to control his image as a solo artist, and he fought them. They asked him to tone down his dramatic edge, but he refused. He was said to be unmanageable by one boss. Producers of a wide range of projects, from studio records to plays, often left feeling tired and let down. He gave per the same drive and passion. There was love in every note, light, and outfit, and some people couldn't keep up. He tried to change himself when he got into musical theater in the 1990s and early 2000s. His rock opera The Hunchback of Notre Dame became a fan favorite. But people close to the group talked about how hard practices and rewrites were and how DeYoung wouldn't follow directions. Some people praised his vision. Some people couldn't stand it. Most of the time, collaborations ended in anger. Compromise made DeYoung feel like she had been betrayed. The fights didn't end when the band left the stage. Long-buried grudges in his family started to come to the surface over money, inheritance, and job choices. There were fights over business choices, loyalty, and who really stood by him. His deep desire to leave a lasting legacy and be known in the right way took over his life. It took over everything else at times. He went from being friendly and warm one day to cold and rude the next. Some close friends started to drift apart. Some stopped calling back. Others quietly moved away from him because they couldn't stand to see him become more and more alone. People who were still there saw a man fighting ghosts. The lies from Styx, the lack of interest from the business, and the silence from people who were once trusted allies. It got more lonely around him as he fought harder to be heard. As DeYoung tried to take charge of his own story, he ended up pushing away the people who had been there for him before. No longer was it just a fight over music respect. People should see, hear, and remember that war. And there was a price that could not be erased by gold records. Dennis DeYoung is at an odd crossroads right now. He has a lot of fans who worship him, but the band he helped start and shape has never looked back. People keep saying nice things about his solo records. On wedding days, his songs are still played. His voice is still quickly devastating, disable, and iconic. Still, it's like Styx never existed when he walks on stage these days. Behind the respect is a sea of pain for the person. He lost more than just a band, he lost brothers. What used to feel like a family turned into a cold machine. Shaw and Young used to work together on art projects, but now they seem like ghosts from a past life, imperceptible and emotionally dead. They are silent and don't answer. No one says sorry or puts things to rest. There is only quiet and the pain of forgetting. He was hurt, but it didn't break him. Not all the way. He hid away and cried, but he also made things. He used his pain to make music, do solo projects, go on tours with the orchestra, and share stories. There is a deeper truth behind every note he sings today. He is trying to take back not only his name but also his reputation. The band Styx was made in a garage in Chicago. He gave it life, voice, and heart. Others may keep going under that name, but they can't get rid of the marks he left on every record, song, and lyric. Now, as time runs out and the stage lights go down, DeYoung is speaking freely. All of the hurt, deception, and being sent away is coming out. For the truth, not to get back at someone. The last curtain isn't just about ends, it's also about leaving a mark. And Dennis DeYoung won't let quiet change his story.